Good evening to those bored enough to watch. Ever since mobile phones became prominent towards the end of the early 2000s, mobile games have risen to prominence alongside them, as people needed something to do on their phones, especially at a time where social media was nowhere near as prominent as it is now. Mobile gaming rose to prominence as its own independent scene over time. Of course, companies capitalized on this as they grew to understand the demand for mobile games, initially releasing ports of games to mobile devices before entirely separate games were created to cater to that market. I've made a video talking about mobile games before on the Deserted Wasteland I like to call my second channel, in which when it comes to mobile games I do think that they have many advantages, just as much as they do with disadvantages. I think that for a long time now people have realized that mobile games should stop trying to compete with consoles and instead create entirely new experiences for what caters to that market, because it is entirely a separate one. I'm not going to deny that people don't prefer mobile phones as their primary form of gaming, because there are a lot of them and I think that preference should be respected, but the games on phones and whatnot have stopped trying to compete with consoles because in doing so, they instantly fight a losing battle. They're different experiences, for different people who are in different circumstances, in which since then people have understood that more and more as time goes on. As a result of that, mobile exclusives have become more prominent, games created entirely for mobile gaming, in which I think that's a good thing, creating a game that works in its own unique way that it wouldn't for console games, and I think that a lot of them tend to shine. One of the mobile games I tend to play is Subway Surfers. You know, now that I think about it, that's the only mobile game I play, but that's besides the point, which is a game that I do think would never work on a console because it isn't designed for that. It's created for people who need something to do in order to kill time, such as when on the bus or the many different scenarios that may constitute that, in which I think that it does its job really well, keeping a player engaged for as long as it needs to, a simple yet interesting gameplay loop which is catered solely for mobile gaming that would never work on a console without a multitude of reworks. At times, however, bizarre decisions are made, putting a game that would most definitely work on a console solely on mobile platforms, and in this video I want to talk about that. The good and the bad of mobile exclusives. So, with that said, let's discuss mobile exclusives. The upcoming Sonic Dream Team looks amazing, with its great visuals, interesting concept, and from the looks of things, it does seem to have unique and interesting level design. The game, overall, from what I've seen of the trailers, looks fun and great to play, though there is an issue that a lot of people seem to have with it, which is the mobile exclusivity. And I don't just mean the fact that it's exclusive to the mobile platform overall, it's exclusive to just Apple devices. This naturally means that not even people on Android can play the game. Personally, I feel very conflicted about this decision. Of course, I would love to play through a new Sonic game, but can't due to this exclusivity. I'm an Android user for those wondering. But at the same time, the possibility of a future port to consoles isn't impossible, in which I'm happy to wait for such a thing. When looking at this game, it really does feel like it is potential to be a well-selling game, especially for its first few years of being released at the very least. Of course, this is simply speculation on my end, but with the majority of the fanbase being unable to play through this game, it really does feel like this game is being set up for commercial failure, though that is definitely just speculation on my part. Sonic Dream Team is, in my opinion, a bad example of mobile exclusive games because it seems like one that would be significantly better off if it were on all platforms instead, though it is understandable considering how Apple had some involvement in this game's development. While there are games such as the aforementioned Subway Surfers which benefits from being a mobile exclusive game, and other games that perhaps benefit from such a thing, I do think that there are games that find a balance between being an exclusive and being available on other platforms. Multi-platform releasing games is nothing new, whether it be between different consoles or mediums of gaming. It allows for new audiences to become invested in a franchise, which is advantageous for both developers and the preservation of their games, and the consumers were able to have more games available to all. An example of that is the Duck Life games, in which handle multi-platform releases very well. I personally primarily tend to play through these games on Steam, though I do think it's great to see new audiences become introduced to the franchise through its multi-platform releases. No platform is truly alienated, which benefits the developers with the preservation of their games, and the audiences as they get to introduce themselves and become invested in a great franchise of games. Of course, there is Duck Life Treasure Hunt, which in my opinion I would love to see a PC release, though I don't think we need one all things considered. The game is designed in a way which wouldn't really work on platforms other than mobile devices, as it plays more like an endless runner as opposed to other games in the franchise. Due to this, while the game does take place after Duck Life 9, I don't think you'd be missing much if you were to skip on this game, regardless of how much I'd advise against it. But it is there for those who want to play it. As mentioned, the Duck Life series is an example of how I think the multi-platform releases should be handled. Despite my issues with some of the games such as Duck Life 7 and its movement system on PC being left over from the mobile version and requiring you to click on where you want to move with as opposed to using the arrow keys, I think that this series preserves itself really well and continues to do so with the upcoming Duck Life 9. In the end, I just want to see my favourite games become timeless gems that are easily accessible for newcomers to enjoy, in which some games call mobile exclusivity their home. They thrive and work with that, and that is commendable. Designing experiences simply catered for mobile gaming. But on the other hand, sometimes mobile exclusivity isn't a good idea for some franchises. Sometimes it will do more harm than good, and in the end, such a possibility is why it's important for developers to consider the good and the bad to mobile exclusivity. So, there's the video. I hope you all enjoyed it. This has been a video I've been wanting to make for a while now, but I put it to the side as a result of being busy with other things. Though with the recent Sonic Dream Team news, I figured it'd be a good time to finally get to work on this video. If you want to view the list of games I want to make videos about in the future, then you can always do so through the link in the description. Additionally, if you want to follow me, then my socials will be linked in the description, as well as any afterthoughts or messages I may want to add. With that, I haven't really got much else I want to say, so I'll see you all in my next video. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I wish you all a very pleasant evening.